Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this important hearing, and to our witnesses for appearing before us today. As chair of the House Administration Subcommittee on Elections, promoting American confidence in the integrity and security of our elections is a key priority, and identifying the ways in which foreign actors may be influencing and involved in our election system is of paramount importance to the American people. So thank you for being here. I also am so pleased to say that the House unanimously passed the SHIELD Act earlier this week, which I was proud to support, which includes common sense measures to strengthen donor verification standards. And I commend our chairman, Congressman Stile, on his leadership on this critical legislation. I'd like to go back, Ms. Sutherland, to you to begin. The testimony that you have given today about your organization and the report that tracks the 1630 Fund is so important in helping understand the ways in which these loopholes exist and allow foreign governments to influence our elections, including voter turnout. And as you know, in my home state of Florida, this past election cycle, we had two very contentious ballot initiatives that were considered. Did you see any instances of this type of foreign interference occurring in Florida's elections this cycle?
Thank you for that question. Yes, we actually did see it on the issue related to codifying abortion rights in Florida's state constitution. So again, we were able to trace that over $14 million in foreign-backed funds came into Florida to influence your state's constitution. The fact that a foreign national can give directly or indirectly to influence a ballot issue is a loophole that needs to be closed, and I commend everyone's efforts here to close it.
And are there any particular steps that you would recommend that state legislatures or Congress take to close those loopholes?
Yes, implementing a ban like Ohio did, it can also be done on the federal level to reject the issue that foreign nationals can give to ballot issue campaigns. And I'd also like to point out that it was not the FEC that created the loophole. The FEC interprets law. Ballot issues are inherently not elections, so therefore the prohibition on foreign nationals influencing elections does not apply. So it's not that Republican commissioners created this loophole, it's that they interpret the law. And currently there is no law on the federal level, and in most states, that say foreign nationals can't give to ballot issue campaigns. So it's a simple, common sense measure to implement, and I really look forward to tackling this issue again next Congress.
Thank you. Mr. O'Neill, I'd like to go back to your testimony. Thank you for sharing with us some of the tactics that foreign actors may use to commit financial fraud and cybercrime. And from your experience in federal service, I'm interested in what actions you think that agencies might take to identify and disrupt this type of illicit financial activity, in particular, how we might leverage new technologies, including artificial intelligence, to make forward progress.
So law enforcement can leverage current SARs and CTRs that are submitted from financial institutions. It would be ideal if more payment processors and other fintech companies were also required to submit suspicious activity reports, because those do help law enforcement. But there are millions of SARs that are filed every single year, so leveraging artificial intelligence to mine for those specific suspicious activity reports or heightened surveillance report, whatever is provided, would be of value. Also, the ability to leverage 314A, which enables law enforcement to query financial institutions around the world, is very slow. Sometimes it takes up to 28 days, and it involves manual batch processing. So if there was a way to speed up that process, because as we know, money is moving at a much faster pace than it did when the 314A and 314B were created 20-some years ago. So that's another area where new technology exists that didn't several years ago, and we haven't been able to keep up with the technology.
And Mr. Bowman, you just gave some testimony that related to efforts from China, Russia, Iran to disrupt and exploit vulnerabilities that we may have. I'm particularly concerned about threats from cyber actors in this way. We know China very recently committed a very serious hack of some of our infrastructure and telecommunications providers. And I'm interested in your perspective on whether this is simply an intelligence gathering operation. Do you perceive a risk to our elections infrastructure? And then what do you recommend that we be looking at in order to enhance and strengthen our cyber elections infrastructure?
Thank you. Not only do I believe our adversaries are currently waging an information war against us, and we've presented some evidence here today, they're also waging an ongoing, daily, hour-by-hour cyber war against us. And that has many, many facets to it. There's an election component to it. I explained why our elections are our center of gravity. So certainly they're using cyber warfare to attack it as we sit here today. And they're also doing the same thing in the military domain and in the civilian infrastructure that supports the United States military's power projection capability. So we are the most capable cyber country in the world, and we're also one of the most vulnerable. And I think time is well spent trying to shore up our cyber defenses. But just like in this context, until we start to go more on the offensive and start to shift the cost benefit calculation of our adversaries, these attacks will continue until we start to impose some consequences on them. And sooner or later, all defenses, no matter how strong, fail. That's why we need to go more on the offensive.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Representative Lee yields back. I'll now recognize the ranking member for closing comments.